Hi, and welcome to Terribly Fun Films. I'm your host, Bobby, and today we're continuing with the Dragon Con Countdown. Today's movie is a title you might not be familiar with, starring an actress you might not be familiar with. Dominique Provost-Chalkley, if I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry, is going to be at Dragon Con. And when I was looking up her filmography and stuff for a film that would be appropriate to review for my channel, I came across this title, The Seasoning House, and thought it sounded pretty good, pretty interesting, and I decided that this would be what I look at for my channel, as I do like to review certain kinds of films, obviously. B-movies, low-budget things, ridiculous stuff, or movies that are just so bad they're good. I don't do research before I see the film. I want to know as little about the movie as possible when I go to see it. So that does mean that when I'm prepping this sort of thing, all my research is done after watching the movie, sit down, and this gets sort of interesting at times. Case in point, a few years ago I did a Crystal Coast Con countdown, sort of unofficially. I didn't really review those movies and I wasn't doing videos at the time, but still. And Rick Moore was going to be there. When looking up Rick Moore, I already had a few titles he was in, the Turok's on a Stone movie he does a voice in, things like that. But he was in a film called The Dead and the Damned. I was like, this sounds awesome, as it's an Old West zombie flick. It's like, hell yeah. Loved that movie. That movie is what introduced me to the world of Rene Perez, as anybody who's been following me for a long time knows, was in the running for me to do a huge look at their entire filmography and analyze it and his themes and that sort of thing. All those things are still coming, by the way. It just got put on hold for the superheroes ranking list. Next year we'll restart with all that, I promise. So, all that to say, I didn't know what to expect when going into this film. And this film is not the kind of thing I'm usually going to review. So I suspect this review will not be very long. I'll say this up front, it's harrowing, it's intense, and it's brilliant. That's kind of all you need to know about the film. Go see it. It's incredible. It's also the most somber picture I think I'll ever review for this channel. So let's take a look at The Seasoning House. The Seasoning House is set in 1996 war-torn Bosnia. The titular house is run by an unscrupulous dick named Victor, who offers safe refuge for young women and some women not quite of age at his house, which is actually a brothel, and he, in return for keeping them safe from the ravages of the war going on, pimps them out to the soldiers who come around when they're crossing that sort of path. He takes in a deaf-mute named Angel, and maybe it's because she's disabled and he takes pity on her or something. Instead of pimping her out, he has her be the caretaker of the house. So she's doing the dishes, cleaning the rooms, doing any sort of medicinal bandages and that sort of thing that the girls might need. One day, after Angel's been here for a while, a group of new girls comes in. One of the girls, Vanya, her dad was deaf, and she knows sign language. So Angel and Vanya become very, very close. Vanya does get solicited, and one of the soldiers, Ivan, likes it rough and pays extra for it. And he has Vanya one time, and she's left barely alive the first time. And that's... So then Angel looks after her and then starts plotting a way of getting back. And that's really all I'm going to say about the plot. It was co-written and directed by Paul Hyatt, and the other writers were Connell Palmer and Adrian Rudglesford. And holy shit, this film is astounding. What I described really is only the first half of the film. And why I don't describe the second half is because it's much more action-oriented. The first half has a ton of atmosphere, really small characterization moments that you might not even realize are happening until you get into the more kinetic second half. And it's so atmospheric. It blows you away. It's so intense and engaging and interesting that it's mesmerizing. You cannot take your eyes off of it. There's also not a lot of dialogue in this first half of the film, or really in the second half. Some long, silent shots of us just following Angel around, taking care of the people there, just trying to keep her head down, stay out of trouble, so she too doesn't end up in this horrible fate. It's not until she has her friendship with Vanya that she really decides to fight back. This is intercut with flashbacks of Angel's life with her deaf dad and that sort of thing. And there is some dialogue. When I say there's not a lot, I don't mean like it's a silent movie or anything. There is some dialogue when necessary. But the writers were smart enough to know that it's a movie, you show, you don't tell. The dialogue is only there when needed. Everything you need to know about the film is in the visuals. The way the characters look, the way they walk, how they're dressed, the state of their rooms, that sort of thing. It's fascinating to watch. This is Paul Hyatt's directorial debut, and masterstroke. Really, damn, son, if this is how you start off in the movie world, you will have a long, storied, and perhaps remarkably impressive career, because this film is brilliantly directed. Shot composition, cinematography, lighting, set design, casting, everything about this film is perfect and stunning, and just helps envelop you into the engrossing intensity that slowly builds until the final half of the film, where things explode and they get violent and gory, but in a very realistic, believable way. What I was saying earlier about I don't do my research until I see the films, I do mean that. I did not realize that this movie was not really horror. There are horror elements. There are things that can be considered horrifying to be certain. But I would say it's much more a dramatic thriller. The first half is all character building. It's all letting us know these characters, Vanya and Angel especially, and Victor and how he operates his brothel and things like that. And then the second half is all the action. And some people might not like the slow build, but it's perfectly done here. It is so intense and engaging and clever that I cannot oversell what an impressive directorial debut this is on Hyatt's behalf. It's amazing. Also amazing, the writing, Paul Hyatt, Connell Palmer, Adrian Rudglesford. The dialogue is very realistic and natural and sounds like the sort of thing people would be saying in those situations. Some of it is a little exposition-y with Vanya's dad being deaf and stuff. We're just kind of told that. But, again, these characters don't know each other, so they would just... How do you know sign language? That's a weird thing. Oh, my dad was deaf. It does work. It's also very clever in its build-up. Again, following the arc of Angel is so engaging and intense. And once she decides to act out, you're really on her side. And the movie does an amazing job of showing you her transformation in becoming a stronger, more willful character thanks to Vanya's presence. It's great. Of course, helping that along are brilliant performances across the board. Playing Angel is Rosie Day. I imagine most of you will know her from the TV show Outlander. I have not seen a single episode of that show. I know her from the British horror film Howl, which, if you saw my year-end lists, you'll note that that was on there. I love that movie. And from Ironclad Battle for Blood, which is the second Ironclad movie. In both those films, she is not the lead. I would say she's bad. She's really good in both, but she's not the lead. Here, she steals it. She nails it. I'm expecting huge things from her just based on her performance here. It's outstanding. As the important character, who doesn't have a ton of lines, mind you, Vanya, Dominique Provost-Chalkley is just as good as Miss Day in her lead role. Without the chemistry there to be believable as friends, without seeing how they interact and how they make each other less afraid and stronger, the movie would completely fall apart. It's a very important role, and their chemistry just automatically knocks it out. And their chemistry helps you buy into it instantly. And Provost-Chalkley is so good, so sympathetic in the role that you really do feel terrible for her seeing what happens. And the horrifying things she sells very, very well. For those curious, you'll recognize Provost-Chalkley as Waverly Earp on the Sci-Fi Channel show Wynonna Earp, another show I have not seen. This one, unlike Outlander, I've been meaning to get to and just haven't had the time. She was also in Avengers Age of Ultron in a small role. Playing the Inhuman monster Victor, Kevin Howarth is awesome. He plays a dick, he plays an asshole, he plays a guy you want to see get his comeuppance. He's fucking phenomenal at playing that character, though. He's so good. So hateable that, you know, closer to the end of the film, we're like, yes, die already. And he's great at playing a dick, is what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure the actor's a lovely, very nice man. He plays a dick so well that you kind of just want to punch him through the TV screen, you know? Playing the commander of our main group of soldiers is Sean Pertwee, and I'm fairly certain most people know who he is, even if not by name. He's a character actor. He shows up in probably hundreds of projects every year. And this is one of the best performances I've seen him give. He's great here as the no shits given, fuck everyone else commander. He just shoots a girl in the head when the second half of the movie begins, just to prove how serious he is. And you buy every second of it. It's awesome. Some of the other girls who are in the seasoning house are Anna Walton as Violetta and Gemma Powell as Alexa. And they are also quite good and sympathetic. Really, all the acting in this film is pitch perfect. I don't think you could swap out any actor for somebody else and still have the movie be this good. Playing Gordon's brother, that is Sean Pertwee's character, Joseph, is Alec Goff, and he's good, he's huge, and his fight scenes are really solid. One of the characters with lesser lines, but is still rock solid also. Of course, the soldier we're all interested in is Ivan as the asshole character who begins the second half of the film. I'm not going to spoil how. He's played by Ryan Oliva, and he's outstanding. he's so good, so slimy, so reprehensible that you feel like evil just leapt off the screen. He holds his own in the action films. He's believable as a soldier. He's fantastic. Paulie France's score is amazing and mesmerizing and helps sell the beautiful, gorgeous cinematography that is going on. Mind you, cinematography is great and fantastic, and that is hard to do given the titular seasoning house is a rundown fixer-upper in the worst way you can imagine. It's barely being held together. It is not a sound structure at all. And the production and art design of this house are great. It's grimy, it's dirty, it's disgusting. And yet, the cinematography by Adam Etherington makes it so good in terms of looking at it. Yeah, it's dirty and it's meant to be, but the shots are great, and the lighting is great, and it's so enriching in terms of being a believable, lived-in environment that everything that happens works. The editing by Angsixa Liggett. I have fucked that first name up entirely. Agnieszka Liggett. Help me pronounce that one, people. Editing by her. Stunning, brilliant stuff. Just perfect. I got nothing bad to say about this film. This film blew me away. I grant it's a little bit weird that I'm doing a movie like this. It's not a so bad it's good movie. It's not a low budget B movie with an intentionally insane premise a la Sharknado. It's not even really just an independent horror film. It's dramatic thriller with violent ending. Very violent ending. But it's not my usual cup of tea in terms of what I review, but it's beautiful and amazing, and I really want everyone watching this video to go buy it, rent it. Please give the people who made this movie money so we can make more movies, because this film is perfect. It's stunning, it's intense, beautiful characterizations, excellent writing, just jaw-dropping cinematography, great score. I have no issues with this movie. Please seek it out in a totally legal way so they know that we appreciate what they're doing. Thank you for watching. As always, I've been your host, Bobby, and we will be back with something a bit more in our usual vein for the next